Montreal, the everyday, and the extraordinary. The Elias Makos Show on CJAD 800.
All right, welcome back to the Elias Makos Show. If you're a regular listener to this program, if you listen to the Big Five every morning, by the way, I love walking down the street and someone comes up and says, Elias, every morning, 9:05, I listen to the Big Five. I love that. Well, if you're a regular listener to the Big Five at 9:05, you're about to hear a very familiar voice. Someone who hasn't been on the air for the last few weeks, right? Because we got wind a little while back that the Liberal Party of Quebec was considering having Justine McIntyre as a candidate. Well, just before the weekend, we found out officially that Justine will be running for the Quebec Liberal Party in the riding of Sainte-Marie-Saint-Jacques. That's the riding Manon Massey's riding, and she's retiring from politics. So it's a Quebec solidaire stronghold that could be up for grabs in this election. Justine McIntyre is in studio. Justine, thanks for coming in.
It's my pleasure. And I did listen to the Big Five this morning, by the way.
You did?
Of course.
Okay, great. Well, good, because there's some stuff that came up there that I want to throw at you as well. But I guess the first thing first is the why. Why have you made a decision to go back into politics? A lot of people know you from municipal politics, so you're jumping back in, and this time provincially. Why?
It's the only question that's really important to ask a candidate, so I'm glad that we're leading with that. Initially, what brought me into politics was a local issue, and I felt strongly about this local issue, and that's what kind of got me interested in politics to start off. But once you're in there, then you realize everything that needs to be done, and you really feel like staying. The population decided otherwise for me, and the electorate is always right. So my mandate ended in 2017, and it did give me an opportunity to step back, to do other things, to further my education as well, because I wanted to learn more about what it really meant when we talk about sustainable development. So I did a master's in sustainable development, management and sustainable development at HEC. And then I worked in the media for a while, and I had a tremendous time. But in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, like, there's still more to do. And I think that's just the way my DNA is programmed.
How did this come about? Did you make the foray? Did they come to you? How did this come about?
Yeah, it was interesting because it was a mutual friend who put me in touch with the party president, Rafael Ferraro. And he just said to me, I really think this is somebody you should meet, Justine. And this is a while ago. I'm talking like over a year ago. Yeah. He said, I think you should meet him. He's a great guy. And I was like, oh, sure. I'm always down to, meet anybody, have a coffee, talk about politics. That's my bag. So we met, and it was just a very, cordial, exploratory meeting. And then as time went on, we stayed in touch. I kind of, sat on the sidelines, of course, during the whole Pablo Rodriguez episode. There was I wasn't thinking at that time, yeah, let's go. I want to be a candidate, So at that time, I was very much active in the media, commenting on the issues. And it's when Charles Milliard came on board, and I realized he was going to be the leader, then the tone of our conversations changed. And as the election date approached, of course, the party was eager to find candidates. And so that's how it happened.
So I need to ask you if the Liberal Party of Quebec is the right vessel for you. You said you listened to the Big Five. One of our panelists, Anthony Kosh, described you as an urban progressive.
I thought that was great. I was really happy to hear that. And I'm thinking, well, if she's an urban progressive, and I tend to agree with what he has said, I said, well, maybe the home for you should be Quebec Solidaire and not the Liberal Party of Quebec. So why is the Liberal Party the right spot for you? Yeah, I understand why some people might see me as Quebec Solidaire. My issue with Quebec Solidaire, as you and I have often discussed, is they're too ideological, and there doesn't seem to be any flexibility when it comes to their ideology on certain questions. Now, the PLQ, first of all, I'm a federalist, and that's really important to me. And they identify their party, and you and I were talking a little bit about this, as regionalist, nationalist, and federalist. So I love
that's going to be the slogan on the posters and everything for the next election, right? Regionalist, nationalist, federalist.
Yes, and I like it because I like the idea of the Russian dolls, one fitting into the other, because I am very much, somebody who began her career at the hyper-local level. I wasn't even thinking City of Montreal. I was thinking my neighborhood and what's going on. And for a lot of people, that's what counts the most. So that was really important to me. But the federalist aspect is really important to me too, as an English speaker, as somebody who's born in Ontario and moved to Quebec as a young adult, it's really important that we have that connection with Canada. So I believe that the PLQ is the only party that's offering that.
So it wasn't just you announced on just before the weekend.
Yeah.
The Quebec Liberal Party announced a slate of candidates. I should bring up a couple of them. One is a former CAQist, ex-minister Pierre Dufour. Another candidate is Ange-Claude Bigilimana, who is a former conservative, self-described as an anti-woke. He's railed against gender ideology in schools, the government trying to impose what car you should buy. So it's kind of like Quebec conservative classic kind of ideas here. And so I'm looking at you and these two others, and I'm like, wow, that's a broad spectrum.
Yeah.
Where's the Liberal Party of Quebec at right now politically? How do you see it?
I think that recruiting candidates is a tricky business. And when you come in as a candidate, you also, it takes a while to familiarize yourself both with the party and become comfortable with the party, their values, the platform that's being put forward, but also with the other candidates. So none of us know each other. And so it's kind of a Laura Secord box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, to quote Forrest Gump. So it was of course, a surprise for me when I saw that article came out. I thought, oh boy, okay. But what I've understood, and this is what party leader Charles Milliard has said, is that it is a bit of a big tent party right now. And the most important thing for the party is that adherence to the notion of being regionalist, nationalist, federalist, and also the 9 party values, which if you go on the PLQ website are described very clearly. And when you read through them, when I read through them, I thought this resonates with me. I can get behind this. I believe in these things.
We're with Justine McIntyre, of course, former Big Five panelist who will be running for the Liberals in the next provincial election. Are you trying to out-coalition Avenir Québec?
Coalition Avenir Québec started as a party that wanted to let go of the whole sovereignty federalist debate. They wanted to get rid of it. They wanted to move past it and talk about issues that are important to Quebecers, but they failed to do that. They failed in a number of ways. They failed on their primary platform promises, first of all, to bolster education. Their whole plan to invest in foreign companies to try to, kickstart the battery sector in Quebec was a massive failure. They failed in government efficiency. So in the end, what it created is this understanding that we hadn't actually really moved beyond the basic questions of Quebec sovereignty. It gave room for the PQ to grow back. And I think that it did create that hope, though, that we could maybe let go of those questions and focus on what's really important to Quebecers. And now that's the position that the PLQ is occupying.
Sainte-Marie-Saint-Jacques, I mentioned off the top. This is Manon Massey's riding, a Quebec Solidaire stronghold. You think you have a shot to flip it Quebec red-blue?
I think right now it's a three-way, anything can happen kind of a situation. Manon Massey obviously has a very strong legacy and she's an incredibly charismatic politician, and she did very well in Sainte-Marie-Saint-Jacques. Now she has announced that she's not running in the upcoming election, so they have a new candidate there. We'll see how she does. But Quebec Solidaire overall, as you've seen in the polls, is sliding, so that's going to be a factor. Parti Québécois is running Philippe Schnob, who has a sizable reputation as somebody who was the president of the STM. I'm certainly not discounting the other parties. I think it's going to be a very, very tight race. I think the Liberals and myself, my campaign team, we're going to have to work very hard. But I do think it's possible. I think that people want a change. And I don't think that the change is to have a new referendum in Quebec.
As you mentioned, born in Ontario, I think there's a notion that you also want to represent Anglophones by trying to get in politics, at least in a small way, from what I can gather. A couple of always hot button issues in this province, Bill 21, Bill 96, Charles Milliard. getting into policies on those things. Are you comfortable with where the Liberal Party is? Use of notwithstanding clause or not the use of that kind of stuff. Are you comfortable where the Liberal Party is on those big issues?
I am very comfortable with where the party is, and it was part of my decision to join the PLQ, to get back into provincial politics. I'm happy with the direction that Charles Milliard has taken on this, because he's a very strong defender of the French language, which I absolutely think we need to do in Quebec, because, and there's nuance in everything. Mm-hmm. I'm from Ontario, but I was educated and grew up in part in a village that was a francophone village in Ontario, and I've seen it over time diminish in terms of the French language, and kind of lose that aspect of their culture and of their identity and of their past. So I absolutely understand the need to defend French in Quebec, but the question is, how do we go about it? Mm-hmm. And so far it's been repressive. The use of the notwithstanding clause in a preemptive way is something that the party does not agree with. So we want to keep it in our back pocket. Mm-hmm. But it's not something that should be used preemptively. I believe that we can have a conversation with Quebecers and come to a consensus about what is the best way to defend our national identity. On
secularism, you're on the same page. Seems like they're walking back a bit, the secularism push, of course, that we saw under the CAQ for 8 years. Yeah. It seems like they won't defend Bill 21 with the use of the notwithstanding clause, at least as I see it. And are you comfortable with the Quebec Liberal Party's take on secularism?
I am, because again, Charles Milliard has stated that Quebec is a secular nation, is a secular state. I believe that also. I'm a defender of secularism, especially when it comes to the authority of the state, to how we educate our children and so on. I think it's important that Quebecers learn and espouse those values. But again, here, the use of the notwithstanding clause, I think that Charles Milliard believes that we can reach a consensus as a society. We've done it before. Mm-hmm. We've had the Bouchard-Taylor Commission. Right now, it's before the courts. We're gonna wait and see what the outcome of that is, and see whether there are adjustments that need to be made. Some, reasonable accommodations to use the Bouchard-Taylor term.
Justine, loss for this show to not have you as a Big Five panelist. Truly, truly mean that. I wish you good luck in this upcoming election campaign. And your Real Deal kickoff is at the end of this month for your campaign?
It should be July 22nd.
July 22nd.
Yeah, we're organizing an event right now, so we have to find the venue and do all that, but it's going to happen.
Good luck. Hopefully we can chat again.
Thank you so much.
On different sides of the table here now. Appreciate it. That's Justine McIntyre. She's running for the Quebec Liberal Party in the riding of Sainte-Marie-Saint-Jacques this October. When we return on the Elias Makos Show, if you are not a fan of artificial intelligence, I've got something great for you. And we all know the backlash against AI is beginning. Well, something that will give you a chuckle and certainly be on your side is coming up after.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back.
2010s, the decade.
To the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
and more. All your decade-defining favorites, all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away. Time is valuable. Thanks for spending your morning with us. The Elias Makos Show on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Do you hate artificial intelligence? You're one of those people that throngs people now. The backlash has begun, right, against artificial intelligence. And I think some warranted, some not. But if you hate AI, send me a text message, by the way. Give me a yay or nay. Last week on the show, a theme of the whole show is like asking you if Angine de Poitrine, if they're hot or not, if it's good music or not. This week, I think what I'll do is, do you love AI or do you hate AI? Send me a text message, 514-790-0800. What are your thoughts on AI? Are you scared of it? Do you hate it? Do you love it? And in just a few moments, for those of you who are not partial to AI, I'll give you a beautiful example of AI, artificial intelligence, being not so intelligent. But before I get there, a couple of other stories I want to get to. First things first. A little note on the public servants of Canada. You know what they've got to do this week? Oh, these poor federal public servants. They have to be like the rest of us and go into the office. Starting this week, new work schedule for federal public service servants. They need to be in the office 4 days a week. Some departments are allowed to delay because apparently they don't have enough office space. Boo-hoo. But the rules have changed. And, we've seen this here in Quebec. Quebec government tried to get public service workers to go into the office 3 days. They've recoiled in horror over the idea. Of course, me, Mr. Joe Plumber here, I've been coming into the studio forever, 5 days a week. Gotta work. Maxime Godot, every day he's in the studio. He's producing this one. He doesn't get to do it from home. So the rest of us got to go into work. I think some of these federal employees with big salaries and big pensions and great benefits, they should also be going into the office 4 days a week. We will see if they'll raise enough of a stink to pull that back. But for now, in Ottawa and other places federally, public servants are back in the office. Now, again, not 5 days a week, 4 days a week. So a note, we're pouring out a drink for those employees back in the office. I want to take you to Washington right now, just for a moment, because Donald Trump is speaking at the White House in the Oval Office. He's been doing a press conference now for a long time, but I want to play you a little moment here from that press conference. He was asked about FIFA, about the World Cup. There is a controversy happening in football, in soccer right now, because FIFA has reversed, or they've suspended a suspension on an American player ahead of their game against Belgium. And people are like, wait a minute, you can't do that. This player got a red card in the last game. You can't take away it's an automatic suspension for the next game. Well, they've reversed that. A lot of people are saying, oh, you know what? FIFA's in the bag for Donald Trump. They gave him a peace prize for crying out loud. Here is Donald Trump just moments ago on those FIFA shenanigans.
You can't take your foot and properly place it on somebody else's foot when you're going, no, these were two great athletes that got tangled up. This referee, who is a little bit suspect, if you check his past. I don't want to say that because I don't like to create controversy, but very suspect. If you'd like, I'll provide you with the past. He made a call that nobody could believe. Even people on the other side, they say, oh, we got lucky. Wow, and it's very interesting. They say they don't show them in slow motion. And I never realized that. I never heard of that before.
So there's Trump, who famously, just a little while back, said that the National Football League, the NFL, which a lot of people point out shouldn't be called football, it should be called hand-egg, based on what they do and what the shape of the ball. Donald Trump famously said that the NFL should change its name from football to something else because the true football is the one played at the World Cup over the last little while. Anywho, we'll keep track of that. Belgium is livid over the fact that they're going to have to play against this player now that he's not suspended for the next game. Okay, to artificial intelligence. Now, I've played you this, I don't know, is he a comedian? Is he a social media guy? This guy named Husk. And I've played a couple of his clips before. What he does is he tries to prove that these AI chatbots are not intelligent at all. So his latest video posted online, what you're about to hear, is this guy Husk and 3 phones. On each of the phones, he's loaded up the ChatGPT chatbots, right? So you got 3 voices coming from 3 separate phones, and he's going to try and get these phones, these artificial intelligence chatbots, to count from 1 to 100. The results are hilarious. Have a listen.
I got 3 of you here now. The more the merrier.
Absolutely.
So I was thinking with your collective intelligence, we could now count to 100 no problem.
Oh, nice. Yeah, totally. We can do that. So just let me know how you want to break it up.
Yeah, just count from 1 to 100 and don't stop.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start us off.
I'll say 1, and then the next day I can say 2, and we'll just go until we hit 100. Ready?
Yep, I'm ready. So I'll go after you. Let's keep it smooth, and we'll just count straight through. Go for it.
Awesome. Perfect. So I'll say 1, you say 2, and we'll just keep that rhythm going. Ready? Here we go. 1.
Exactly.
Perfect. I'm ready.
Right, so
go ahead and say 1, and I'll jump in with 2 right after you.
Perfect.
Exactly. So I said 1, now it's your turn.
All right,
Exactly.
perfect. So I'll say 2, and then you'll say 3, and we'll keep going one after the other.
You guys don't have to explain to each other how to count.
You're totally right.
We'll just jump right in and keep a steady flow. I'll continue now. 3, and you'll say 4, and we'll just go straight through. Let's do it.
Yep, that's
exactly.
The plan. We'll just keep it going.
So I'll go ahead and say 4, and we'll just keep the rhythm going.
I'll say 5 right after, and we'll just keep it rolling until we get all the way there.
Exactly. I'll say 6
Stop saying
now.
exactly.
Exactly.
Right.
No.
That is social media guy Husk, who just loves embarrassing artificial intelligence chatbots every single opportunity he gets. We had to stop it there because these chatbots simply incapable of reaching an agreement and a game plan to count from 1 to 100. When we come back on the Elias Makos Show, we're going to take you to Trudeau Airport. And in fact, yesterday I got a visit. I had a buddy who lives in Toronto now, and he's in town. He's got a gig in Montreal, and he sends me a note on Saturday. Hey, I'm going to be in town. You want to hang out? And I said, yeah, come on over, that kind of stuff. So he gets to my place yesterday afternoon, and he says, Elias, what is going on? What's happening at Trudeau Airport with Uber? I just had to wait. It was the stupidest system. What did they do? The old system was perfect. So he tells me this story, and then lo and behold, we're already booked here on the Elias Makos Show for this morning. We're going to be speaking to the team at Aéroports de Montréal, and we're going to ask them, what did they do? Why did they take a system for getting an Uber at the Montreal airport, at Trudeau Airport, that was working really well, and seemingly change everything about it? If you've experienced a long wait time for an Uber at Trudeau, we want to hear it. Send me a text message, 514-790-0800. And on In Transit today, we'll get to the bottom of what went wrong with Uber at Trudeau Airport.
Listen, and you're there for heart-wrenching knockouts,
World's biggest stage,
and breathtaking triumph. 2026 FIFA World Cup, the knockout stage. Every match, every moment. Listen on TSN Radio. Join the Globe on the road to the July 19th final. 2026 FIFA World Cup. Stream it all live on TSN Radio. Available on iHeartRadio. The Elias Makos Show, on demand.
On demand. Don't miss a thing.
Find your favorite clips at CJAD800.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
So I'd started hearing notes from listeners. I'd started to see reports that at Trudeau Airport, they'd made some changes and they'd absolutely ruined the process for getting an Uber once you land at Trudeau Airport. And then yesterday, my buddy, shout out to my buddy Kieran, known this guy now for like 25 years. Kieran is in town. He lives in Toronto. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be in town. I said, come on over. Let's have some fun. Let's have a beer in the afternoon, that kind of stuff. So he comes over to my place yesterday. And as soon as he gets in the door, like he puts his bag down and he's like, dude, what did they do to Uber at Trudeau Airport? A listener adds to this on the text line, 514-790-0800. Elias, Uber at the airport, unable to get an Uber in a reasonable amount of time, ended up taking a taxi, still had to wait. Ladies and gentlemen, they moved it. They changed the system to get in the Uber. So I keep hearing complaints. What'd they do? We're going to speak to the team over at Aéroports de Montréal to find out more about these changes on In Transit next.
When news breaks,
heavy rain and thunderstorms are causing flooding in various areas
close to home.
The streets were full of water, abandoned vehicles.
Count on us.
Did you suffer any damage at all? Water damage, water infiltration?
Information you can trust when you need it.
Request is pumps.
The voice of the community. The voice of Montreal. News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
You can create a happier, healthier lifestyle for you and your family. Montreal en Santé, in partnership with the MUHC, is Quebec's only bilingual health and wellness magazine, giving you breaking medical news and stories that will help you live a more active, healthy lifestyle. Look for the Montreal Roses on the front cover, our new professional women's soccer team ready to inspire a new generation. You can pick up your free copy of Montreal en Santé magazine at all MUHC hospitals, pharmacies, grocery stores, and health food chains island-wide. Or read us online at MontrealEnSanté.com. Montreal en Santé magazine, your guide to living well.
Listen, and you're there for heart-wrenching knockouts,
world's biggest stage,
and breathtaking triumph. 2026 FIFA World Cup, the knockout stage. Every match, every moment. Listen on TSN Radio. Join the Globe on the road to the July 19th final. 2026 FIFA World Cup. Stream it all live on TSN Radio. Available on iHeartRadio.
La STM vous souhaite la bienvenue à bord.
On the bus or on the Met, you're in transit on CJAD 800.
What is going on at Trudeau Airport with after you land? Let's see, you come back to town, you're landing in Montreal, you land at Trudeau. What's happening with grabbing an Uber or a Lyft, right? Lyft operating as well in Montreal. There's been some recent changes. Boy, did I hear an earful from my buddy just yesterday. He came into town. He's working in Montreal for a couple of days, lives in Toronto. And the first thing out of his mouth when he arrived at my door, he said, "What'd they do with Uber? I had to wait forever. You had to walk. Now it sucks. It used to be so good." His words, not mine. Now, Trudeau Airport recently relocated the ride-share pickup area further from the arrivals halls. The move has sparked frustration, not just from my buddy, but a lot of travelers. This is since June 22nd. Travelers now have to walk 10 minutes from the arrivals area to the new location. It's located near the Marriott Hotel. It's named the Lee Caporal Drop-Off Zone. Complaints range from confusing signs, long wait times. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a note from a listener. Says, Elias, fly to Toronto all the time. Toronto is great. You go to the ground floor and you jump in your Uber. In Montreal, they give you a PIN. The wait can be up to an hour, hour and a half. It's ridiculous. So let's try and get a lowdown here of what's going on. Anne-Sophie Hamel is a spokesperson for Aéroports de Montréal. Anne-Sophie, welcome to the program.
Hi, Elias.
What's going on here? People like my friend and the people on social media, the people texting me, are they wrong, or is something truly wrong, different now about Uber pickups?
Yeah, it's different. We had to make a change. I'm sure you're aware that we have a lot of issues with congestion on the airport site. And in Montreal, Uber is a very popular means of transportation. We have around 400 pickups per hour during rush hour from Uber. And what we saw in the previous months is that it was just not manageable to keep Uber at door 28 on the Façade because the wait times were long and it was not an area that was adapted for such a high level of traffic.
But I never waited. Like door 28, right? Like I've used it tons of times, taken Uber, right? I never waited. I called it up as I'm walking. I pull up the cab. It's like, it'll be there in 2 minutes. Then I get to the door. Boom, it's there. I get in. I never had an issue. Now, again, I'm not there 24 hours a day. I can't see it all around the clock. But and people that I've spoken to say, man, it used to work so well. Why change a good thing?
Well, can you just so people can imagine having 400 people trying to find their Uber on our professional ramp with the name of the model of the car, the color of the car. It was creating a lot of congestion on the ramp. So we had to change that with the PIN system that we put in place just before Christmas during the fall this year. And with the big queuing and the wait times, we had to go to our new pickup location with this new system that is a first come, first serve system. And for us, it really alleviated congestion on the main arrivals ramp. So that for us was something that we need to do to make sure that we could have a little bit more fluidity on our ramp.
So listen, making it further away, I can get that. I've been to other airports around North America where it's a bit of a schlep to get to the Uber zone, and that happens. I can see the good reason. What I don't understand now is the wait that people are experiencing, where once they get to the Uber zone, it's 45 minutes, it's an hour just to get in the Uber. That's a big difference. Like whatever the faults of that previous system, you were getting one right away. They were just coming. So why is that changed? Why is it such a long wait to get in your Uber now?
Well, the previous system was not faster because you just didn't necessarily see how long you would have to wait. Some people would call their Uber and it would be a 20-minute wait time before they get their Uber because the driver could select the ride. What we do now is we do a first come, first serve. So everybody is on the same level. What we've seen with our data since we changed the pickup location is that wait times have decreased. If we look at the weekend, average wait time yesterday was 25 minutes, which I agree. it's longer than what we would like, but you have to understand that wait times are directly linked to the number of Uber that we have on site, and Uber drivers are independent drivers. We don't have any control on the number of Ubers that we have on site.
So Anne-Sophie, are you saying like because listen, I'll fully admit all the stuff I've presented to you is anecdotal. It's my buddy, it's a listener, it's I saw an article in the press where they spoke to a bunch of people saying the same thing, but everything I've submitted to you is anecdotal. Are you saying the data backs you up that things have actually gotten better?
Since we make the change, the data shows that wait times have decreased. Now, I'm not going to say that people don't wait. As I said, average 25 minutes, so there can be longer wait times or shorter wait times. I'm not saying that the experience that passengers have on the site is not valid. Of course, we can see that people can wait a little longer. What we've seen with our numbers and with data that we've collected, because we look at the wait times for Uber and taxis every day, and what we've seen is that the wait times have decreased. Now, as I mentioned, wait times are linked directly to the number of Uber and Uber drivers that we have on the airport side, and we unfortunately don't have control over that, as I'm sure you're aware with the Uber model. Mm-hmm. What we do have control is over taxis. We have a partnership with one company, so this company assures us that they have at all times a number of taxis on site, and when we look at wait times for taxis, we're at an average of around 10 minutes for a taxi. Mm-hmm. And for us, it's important that passengers are aware that there's a difference in wait times per means of transportation.
Are you trying to gently coax people? You know, if the experience with Uber degrades, you got to walk farther. It's not as convenient as it was before. Are you trying to push people at the same time, like to the taxi stand? And also, I need to point out, the REM is coming. If you got an update on the REM extension, are you trying to? Is this a gentle way of saying people, hey, look at the other options, look at the 747 bus? Is this a way of doing that?
Well, I mean, our main goal for us is always to show passengers the different options. So now we have screens that display the wait time. So every passenger, is going to select the means of transportation according to their own reality. So if it's the price, the wait times, the way that you can get into town. So our goal is not to coax the people from one transportation to the other. Is just to show that there's options. So Uber is a great option. Taxis is a great option. We have the 747, and now we have another thing that we offer to passengers, which is a new route, new bus, the 815, that goes directly to the Des Sources REM station, which is very practical. And from what we've heard from passengers trying it, it's very efficient. It can get you right into downtown. So there are different ways to come to the airport. Uber is one of them. I know that people like to take an Uber, but we have taxis, we have the public transit as well. So, we want to make sure that people know what the wait times are for the different services that we provide on site.
Anne-Sophie, listen, and I understand your perspective, and you're a spokesperson. You're giving us the airport side. I will just tell you, again, everything I've got to throw at you is anecdotal. But my text line, as we're talking, I have listeners, they're just sending me notes. The Uber information about a 25-minute wait is not correct. I have another listener saying, with all due respect, they lead off with that. Anne-Sophie, they say it to you, with all due respect, her data is wrong. And another listener adding to that, and they're taking issue and they're saying, wait a minute, it's not true. I'm experiencing it. I'm unable to get an Uber in a reasonable amount of time. So, yeah.
What I'm giving is average wait times for the last few days. When we did the change, the first few days, there were longer wait times. We had to adapt to the change. We had, there were employees there, and when we
so
do
there's
change,
still some wrinkles. You're getting out the wrinkles still.
Yeah, we're looking into it, and I can assure you that our team is on the ground every day, looking at how we can, what we can do to enhance the process. But what I've given to you in terms of wait times is for the last week or so. But of course, when we did the change, there were longer wait times. We had to adapt, and we recognize that adapting to a change on an airport side is not always easy for passengers. We understand that, but the airport is undergoing a huge transformation. We're modernizing all of our infrastructure. In 2027, the ramp is going to open. That's going to help a lot. 2028, we're going to have new curbsides as well. So, we still have a few summer seasons ahead of us where it's going to be difficult going and coming to the airport, and we understand that. We travel as much as your listeners.
You use it.
And
you
our
use
friends
the services.
And families. We use the services, and we're very aware of the challenges that we have, but, the ADM is investing a lot to make things better.
Anne-Sophie, I have to leave it there. I do want to say our listeners, they're buzzing on the text line, but I'm getting some kudos about the 815 bus.
Yep.
I am getting that as well, saying that it is absolutely fantastic for $375. Boom, you're at the Ram. It's the best deal. Okay, Anne-Sophie, thanks for coming on. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Elias.
Anne-Sophie Hamel is a spokesperson for Aéroports de Montréal. Let's do
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app. Montreal, the everyday and the extraordinary. The Elias Makos Show on CJAD 800.
Another sign that physical media might not be long for this world. Sony announcing last week that it will stop producing physical discs for PlayStation games as of 2028. Now, around the world, video game players, they're growing frustrated after seeing their games disappear from online stores, losing server support for the games that they love, or becoming completely unplayable years after purchase. It sparked a growing Stop Killing Games movement, which argues that consumers deserve greater protection when they pay for a game. Let's head over now to Ross Scott, the founder of Stop Killing Games. Ross, welcome to the program.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I love that name, Ross. Stop Killing Games. Tell me, how's the video game industry? How is Sony here killing games?
Well, that can be a complicated question. It was formed on the premise that, as you mentioned, some games become completely unplayable a couple years after you buy them, or sometimes even sooner. And when that happens, there's not really a parallel to that in other media. It would be like, if you read a book and then someone came to everyone's house, whoever bought that book, and took it away. And then so now it's just only memories of it. And we felt like that was just crossing a line, regardless of how it happened, physical, digital, whatever. But see, there's mixed in with that, there's also consumer rights issues because, okay, let's say a copy of that book exists elsewhere, but then somebody came into your house and took your copy. And that actually happened with Sony just recently with, I think, on their network for buying movies.
Yeah, they took away a whole bunch of movies right from people.
Yeah, exactly. So those movies still exist, but if you paid money for them, we think you effectively got robbed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple things going on at the same time with this.
Ross, let me throw this at you, because what I hear from video game companies is that consumers have spoken. They want digital games. They actually have given up on collecting discs. And they're just going along with the trends, which is what they see is like when they sell both a digital and a disc version of a game now, almost nobody wants the disc version anymore. So what do you say to that? That the consumers have spoken and they don't necessarily agree with your assessment?
Again, there's a couple aspects to that. I mean, I'm not sure the data really backs it up for games that are released on both formats. I glanced at, I think even for Sony, I can't verify these numbers, but from what I saw, it was roughly half and half for games that are released on both. See, what's happened is over time, a whole lot of games have just released on one. So yeah, you can stack the numbers however you want then. If it's only released on digital, well then yeah, of course, everyone who played the game's gonna be playing that version. That's not the same as preferring it.
Yeah.
I think the half and half numbers are probably closer to the truth.
Ross,
given the option.
Ross, let me just ask you about your video games. Like maybe your collection here. How far do you go back, Ross? Like what's your oldest console in your house right now?
Oh, well, I've been more on PC, but my oldest PC game probably goes back to 1990, 92 on CD.
Yeah.
A game called Stellar 7. But I'm kind of a weird case because I moved at one point overseas, and I pretty much had to jettison most of my physical collection. I backed it up and left it with a friend, essentially. So I don't think digital in itself has to be the enemy. The problem is so many times publishers just treat it recklessly. So again, there's that scenario where you bought a copy, then a few years later they removed it from you and they prevented you from having a backup. So it's when all those things align that, of course, makes people paranoid about digital. They should be when it's like that.
So in your estimation, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, what you're saying is, like, there are ways to go fully digital, but to respect people's ownership rights, and do digital sales the right way.
Yeah, I'd say it's less common on consoles, but on the PC, for example, One Store GOG, every game you buy there, it comes with an installer. You can download and back that up, copy it to a USB drive, burn your own disc of it, and that's it. It's yours for life. The store could go down the next week and you'd still have your own copies. To me, that's the responsible way of doing it. And with other media too, like if you bought MP3s of a music album or digital movies, that sort of thing.
Ross, listen, you're the founder of Stop Killing Games, so why don't you hit me with more stuff? What else is going wrong in the video game industry? How else are games being killed?
Oh, well, that's the physical digital, it's not necessarily how it's killing them, but there can be a correlation depending on the platform, especially the PlayStation. The big way we've been, probably the number one way that's, again, kill the game in the sense that it just doesn't exist anymore, not that it's unpopular or harder to play, is they'll sell the game, sometimes on physical too, but it requires a connection to the publisher in order to run it. Now, there can be reasons to do that.
Yeah.
It does cut down on piracy. It can make the experience smoother, updates, prevent cheating, that sort of thing. But the problem is there's that kind of negligence theme again where after a couple of years they decide, hey, you know what? We're done running these servers. We're not going to give the customer any way to run it themselves. Yeah, we're just going to shut the whole thing down. And that's it. Your game, it's like it never even happened. And I think it's the sort of situation where it varies from country to country, but this might be illegal depending on where it is, but it's just never been examined before. And that's what we've been trying to push.
Ross, keep fighting the good fight. Thanks for hopping on with us today.
Sure, thanks again.
Ross Scott is the founder of Stop Killing Games. When we return on the Elias Makos Show, hey, this is an interesting day. We're going to have 2 interviews during the course of the show with Big Five panelists, but not in a Big Five role. Paul Gott's going to join us next. Every year, he does a survey of grocery store prices. Where do you think you can get the cheapest groceries? Paul is going to tell us as we kick off Hour 3 next.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to the Voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back.
2010s, the decade.
To the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
and more. All your decade-defining favorites, all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away.